Hi friends, it's Minato Kanae and saying hi from a Sunday, and this is also a start of a special reading vlog because I want to read for a whole day today to see how many pages or can I even finish a book in Chinese in a day, because if you didn't know, I lived abroad for the past 10 years and my majority of reading was done in English, which is my second language. One of the reasons is I haven't been able to get affordable Chinese books online. Normally they're just very hard to acquire, and sometimes when I found them they're like super expensive on Amazon for like $60 for one book, that sort of the thing. But I actually talked about it in my last video, which one of my friends recommended a website to me where I can get affordable books in Chinese shipped to me. So I finally got my first parcel last year. It's actually the end of last year, and now it is in the middle of it is in the middle of May, and I haven't really read any books from that parcel yet. So I'm gonna fix that because I thought I'll be, devour them in a minute, but that didn't happen because of life. So today I want to read some books from that book haul. The first book I want to read is this one. It's called 渔猎 Fish Hunting. This is a thriller or mystery book talking about a girl in a fishing village. One day just went into a coma, and after she wake up, she claims that her identity is one of her friend who died half a year ago, which sounds fascinating, and I really want to figure out how this happened. And this book was also ranked as the #1 mystery in the last year's mystery books rank in one of the Chinese reading communities. So I'm really excited about that. And if I somehow can finish this book, I want to dive into this one, 潮汐图. This is a book called Tidal Charts, and this is somehow a fantasy book talking about a giant frog which were raised in the family in the southern part of China. So the frog adapted into Cantonese at first, so he was telling his story in Cantonese, and later on he decided to travel the world, or travel the world of China, and he then learned Mandarin, and the whole book shifted to a Mandarin narrative, which the language shifting just sounds fascinating and just really intrigues me a lot. So these are the two books that I'm thinking of today, but I reserve the rights to transit to any other Chinese books that I have, because what if, I don't enjoy them right now or something like that. And like I said, it is a Sunday. I actually tried to went to Yosemite yesterday. It was funny because I say I tried to because we were at the door, and because we arrived like so late, there was this 2 hours long waiting, like traffic jam, like it's so hard. So we actually went to like the foot of Yosemite, and we turned around after about more than an hour of waiting in line in the traffic because the car was just not moving. So we turned back and just come back without going into the park, which is so funny because that never happened to anyone really. But I'm glad that we gave up, and next time we'll just plan better, maybe stay in the town near Yosemite the night before, or just get up super early or something like that. But this time, because of the Spanish class I'm taking, I have to take one Spanish class per day in order to get my refund of the whole package. So I couldn't leave early, and that results in the waiting in the Yosemite. Anyhow, but the river besides Yosemite is crazy. In California last winter, there was so much rain, and in the mountain there was so much snow. So the river this year is just so turbulent, it's just so big. I have some footage that I wanted to show you. It's actually, I feel like that alone is worth the trip. But anyhow, that's a little piece of my life, and I hope you are all doing great, and I'm gonna dive into reading and report back to you later. Hi friends, I am back for the first update. I read for 45 minutes, and can you guess how many pages I've read? I am at page 87 now. I read for 45 minutes and I read 87 pages. Like, frankly, some pages are really short, like this is chapter 1, this is one blank page, but still 87. And And also, it is a mystery novel, so I read a mystery novel faster in general, but still, like, do you know how many pages I can read in an hour in English? 25 pages. I will never be hard on myself for my slow reading in English from now on, like ever. Like I don't know. I might just reduce my reading goal on Goodreads to 25 books per year because I read so slow in English compared to in Chinese, and I miss reading in my mother tongue. Like, it's been so long that I'm holding a book in paper, like a paperback book in Chinese, and read it. Yeah, like I said, it's a mystery novel, and it's actually pretty good and pretty intriguing. So this is actually, I took up the dust jacket. It's so funny, they have a dust jacket for a paperback. And some of the paperback, if you see in my last video, they also have like book skirt, which is quite unusual. I've never seen a book skirt in America, but yeah. So this book is interesting. So, like I told you, there's a girl that wake up from a coma and claim that she's a girl who died half a year, and turn out there's a huge scandal behind the death of the girl who woke up. They just finished the big college entrance exam in China, so they're about 18. But the book is retrieving to all the years that leading towards their senior year in high school. I call their senior year in high school, but they're actually only 3 years high school in China, so the third year in their high school. And talking about their childhood, the friendship dynamic between the two girls and some of their classmates, because they live in such a small town, so a lot of people kind of know each other, and there's so many like power differences between their families, which leads to interesting event. And unfortunately, there is bullying involved in this book, which is quite brutal and quite hard to read for some times. And like the teachers are irresponsible, they're not taking actions and things, and that lead to the tragedy that happened. But we are about to discover what happened from one of the girls' perspective. So this book is structured in a very different way. They have different chapters, like different little sections, but the chapter is longer. So the whole 70, 80, 85 pages are chapter 1, but there are like 5 different sections in that. And the first chapter was told from a third-person narrative, and the second chapter, which is the one that I just started, is telling from one of the girls' perspective. So I finally get to see some details that mentioned in the events in chapter 1, which I'm looking forward to. And I just want to report back here because it seems like a good timing to report, because I finished one chapter and I also so many pages in 45 minutes. It's crazy. And I also need to feed my cat for a little bit, and now the time is 10:27 in the morning. I actually woke up pretty early today at 6, but I was just scrolling the internet before my Spanish class. My Spanish class ends at 9, and after that I fed my cats for the first time, and I had breakfast myself and then read for the 80 something pages, and now I'm going to feed them for the second time because one of my cats has some digestive issues, so she can only eat a small amount of the time. So what we do is I feed them twice in the morning and my partner feed them twice in the evening. Yeah, I'm just gonna do that and come back to reading more. The cat who's waiting to be fed. Another 100 pages down, and this book, I'm telling you, it is so good. So if you have noticed, I've talked about how this book has a dust jacket, and it looks like this. It's a girl by the beach with fire in the sky and also some fish in the sky, and without a dust jacket, it's actually a girl drowning, and it's telling so much about the story already, and what I like is every character has their rich background, and they're just so much dynamic behind it, and their personalities are based on their original families, and there's so much tragic that caused by each one of their families. They're all high school students, but their parents plays a huge role in the story. Although a lot of the actions are taken by themselves, but you just feel like it's so I have so much emotion now because the huge, like the whole scandal, it's partially about the stories between the students, like the classmate, and partially between the previous generation and the actions that they take. And it's just so tangled together, but it's so complicated and in a wonderful way, and it's so intriguing. I can't wait to continue reading, but I also want to update you that I am loving this book. And also a girl drowning, but also another girl on a ship that is like the paper something, I don't know the word, but yeah, it is such a great book. As I said, it doesn't have a translation yet, but I do hope this book get picked up and translated into English. It's so wonderful. If you have read Confession, which by I forgot the writer's name, but I will write her name on the screen. It's a Japanese crime novel. Confession is like another classic one, and this one, it's a little bit like that, like structurally, like everybody has something to do with the event, but it's so much more mature because the story in Confession happened in a elementary school, and this book story happened in high school, and so good, so good. I read for another 10 pages, and I'm shocked right now. I did not see that coming, and it makes me feel so bad that a lot of you guys cannot read this book because it's so good. Anyway, so I'm shocked. If you read Chinese books, this book is for you. If you like mystery. Hi, I have finished this book and it is 12:55. So I have read this book for 3 hours, and this book is 300 pages, 308 pages. So I read approximately 100 pages per hour in Chinese, which I am so happy about. I was so scared that I'll read slower because I remember I was a fast reader when I was reading in Chinese. Anyhow, this book is so good. It is not only a mystery story, it is also a brilliant revenge story. Notice the title is called Fish Hunting. The hunting part really shows through the second part of the book, and it was so fascinating. I read it like non-stop. It was captivating, and I kept wanting to know what happened, and there are so many clues actually planted in the first part of the book, and when the secrets are revealed, I was like, oh my god, I should have seen that coming, but I did not, and it's so great. I don't know, I'm so happy about this book, and I think it's so many things. As a mystery, it kept you going, but it also discussed so many topics that I like, and so the friendship in this book is incredible. It's like I almost wanted to cry at one time, and also after some events, the reaction of the people around the characters, they are so realistic. It's actually a little bit sad because I feel like tragically, if these are the real things in real life, things wouldn't go better. Anyhow, this is a brilliant book, and I need to sit on it for a little bit to discuss the themes in this book. You can anticipate it from a wrap-up or something, but yeah, I love it. And now, like I said, it's almost 1 o'clock, so we're going to have lunch. It's just some leftovers from yesterday, and I will move on to the next book after lunch. Hi friends, it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and I'm only 100 pages into Tidal Charts. I got significantly slower reading this book because of how the book is written. It's not written in modern Chinese entirely. especially in the first part, which I am at right now. It is actually also a little bit different than I thought, and also I got severely distracted by adult chores like laundry and things. It's a weekend, like what can I do, right? Anyhow, so like I said, it's different from what I thought, because I thought the first big part were entirely written using a lot of Cantonese words, but it's actually not that. It's actually written like a little bit ancient Chinese, but not ancient Chinese. Like, so if you don't know, Chinese as a language transitioned from like a very ancient style of writing to the modern style of writing in the recent like 100 years. So the first book is written like when the transition just started to happen. So you can see a lot of the expressions are a little bit older, or like the structure of the sentence. So it's not entirely smooth to read as a modern reader, but we can also understand that. But that did slow down my reading, and they also used Cantonese words in it, but it's not as many as I thought. But I did have to look up like 1 or 2 words in this book, which is very interesting, because I haven't looked up Chinese word for a long while. And the frog is the main character, but his perspective is all written in modern Chinese. So the part which is not so modern is actually a third-person narrative, just talking about the time, because the starting of the time is 1820, I believe. So it fits in the environment. But yeah, but I just feel like that there's too many descriptive words and paragraphs. Is like describing the whole entire scene using a lot of adjectives, and didn't really tell a story, just like telling how everything is looked. Yeah, so I don't know how I feel about it. But the frog is very interesting. They know the word by eating things. So that's one of the ways that they know the word, and people acting weirdly around the frog, especially, it's like apparently the frog can talk and it's giant, it's like bigger than people, so people are very curious about them, and also just like doing all sort of weird things with the frog or to the frog. There's one sentence that really moved me. It says,你知道吗？蛙，你的绝尾，你的疤痕即将褪去，与你永别，你将要失去它，似失去故土那样失去它。It's like, frog, did you know that your tail, your scar is going to shade away and to be forever farewell with you? You are going to lose it, just like how you lose your homeland. I don't know, this sentence really moved me. I guess like anything talking about farewell, talking about leaving the things that you know, leaving a part of you, just resonates with me, no matter if it's on a frog or on other people. Yeah, and that's my update so far, and I'm gonna make myself a protein shake and continue reading. Hi guys, I'm at page 204 and I started to love this book, but in a different way compared to the first book that I read. This book, because of the language, so it's a little bit harder to read, but also give you time to really connect with the frog, and not only the frog, because I figured the setting of this book is set when the Qing dynasty is about to collapse, and a lot of foreigners came to Macau, and eventually Portugal will capture Macau for a certain amount of years, and I feel like it was in between of the time when everybody doesn't really know where their destination leads to, same as the frog. So instead of like saying the book is about the frog, it's rather about the people in the time where they cannot control their life, in the time of lost, in the time where everybody is losing their hometown, literally, and also metaphorically, in a time where it's just full of sorrow, and one day you can have a lot of wealth and fame, you can feel like your life has a future, and the other day you can be beaten up to the ground. And I'm at the point where a very important change has just happened, and I'm keen to read about what will happen next to the frog. But yeah, I'm full of sadness right now, and I have dog-eared so many pages. I also loved this page of talking about the sorrow of the frog. It says, 真是奇，我的大忧郁在星河间折返跑。我看见而非听见我的大忧郁，我眼睁睁看着我徒劳往返的大忧郁，直到轰然倒地，醉成一滩烂泥。So it briefly translates to, it is so strange. My greatest depression is running among the rivers of the stars. I can see my depression instead of hearing about it. I witnessed that my tiresome depression running back and forth until fallen on the ground became a pool of drunk mud. So it sounds very strange of my translation, but it also sounds a little bit strange in Chinese. It's very metaphorical because I feel like it's because the frog is talking from their perspective, and they do have a different understanding to life than human beings, and they do have a different understanding to feelings, because all the feelings that they needed to learn from human beings is not something that they generated. And I feel like because they're a frog, it's just like so different than our normal thought, but also makes sense. It's peculiar but beautiful. I really like it. I wanted to read to you so many paragraphs in this book, but I don't want to bore you with all the thing. And I see here, I said sign here. It's just so sad. And I have a little bit lesser than 100 pages to go, so I'm very happy that it's very possible for me to finish this book today. So I'm gonna continue reading and talk to you later. Hi friends, it's 6:40 right now, and I have just finished Tidal Charts. This book is such a surprise to me because in the beginning, especially the first 35 pages where it was written in the, a little bit more difficult Chinese, I was thinking that it was hard for me to connect with the book, but in the end, I did have a lot of emotional investment to this book, to the character, and I especially liked how it was telling the story from a frog's perspective, so you can actually see the human beings come and go. And the book actually covered a lot of historical events in China, especially the because it was traveled from Guangdong, where's the Canton province, to Macau, and dealing with it was that time when a lot of foreigners came to China, and the Chinese empire, they started to realize that, oh, there are so many people in the world and so many different ones, and started to consider trading or not trading, like in going to war or not going to war, things like that. So it's packed with historical richness, but also you gotta see the day-to-day life from the frog's perspective, especially they didn't know what they are at the beginning. I mean it's an imaginary creature, so I wouldn't say that it figured it out, but it did learn the human habits and did start to think like human gradually, but still kept their eyes from a not human-centered narrative. This is something that I really like lately, because I feel like a lot of times we see the world, for example, when we're talking about saving the environment, saving the planet, we are essentially talking about saving humans, but we're not wording it that way, which just like avoided this whole human-centered perspective or narrative. But I feel like this book really jumped into something else and present you like a whole different picture of seeing the events, seeing the world, and also a whole different picture of humanity and how sometimes ridiculous people are. So I really liked it, and I still need to take my time to sink in all the information. And oh my god, I don't have fish hunting with me. So I'm really happy that I have finished the 2 books today. I was thinking maybe continue reading to the end of the night because I wanted to make this a whole day reading vlog. However, I do feel like I need to do some like, you know, cleaning and other chores to prepare for tomorrow, which is a Monday. So do some like, you know, responsible adult things. So I'm gonna end this vlog right here, and this book is 276 pages, and that book is a little bit more than 300 pages. So I read about 600 pages today, which I didn't even read it like super hard. Like I didn't spend every single minute reading. I started reading from 9:40 and now it's 6:40, so it's 9 hours, but I did some other things in between. I also had a long lunch and things like that. So I'm really happy that I still read Chinese relatively fast, but I also need to take a break. It's just because those 2 books has so much information that I need to let them sit with me for a while and process the 2 books. So I don't think diving into another book is a good choice for now. And with that being said, I hope you had a wonderful weekend, and I hope you enjoyed this vlog. I know a lot of you guys don't read Chinese, but I'm so happy that I found those 2 books. So please let me know any of your thoughts down below. Do you like the 2 books? I know I didn't really give a lot of them away, but do you find them interesting? If they were translated into English, will you read them? And also, what book did you read in the weekend? And thumbs up to this video if you liked it. I hope you're happy reading, stay healthy, stay safe. I'll see you in my next bookish video. Bye!